Welcome to another episode of What Are You Reading? What Are You Writing? This has been such an incredible year. I'm almost up to a year. My 1-year anniversary is almost here of doing this. And it's been such a pleasure because I've met extraordinary people. And you're going to get to meet an extraordinary person today. If this is your first time, I'm Karen E. Osborne, author of Getting It Right, which is a family saga, page-turning suspense novel, women's fiction, and Tangled Lies, which came out this July, which is also women's fiction and also page-turning. It's a murder mystery. And upcoming Reckonings, which comes out in June 16th. And today, my guest is Stephanie M. Freeman. And let me just tell you a little bit about her. And as you know, then she will tell you all the rest. But I'll just tell you a little bit about her. So she describes herself, I love this, on her Facebook page. I was, bopping around looking at social media, and I found on her Facebook page, she said, "By day, I am the quintessential school teacher, complete with ink pens wound in my hair. By night, I am a thriller novelist with a flair for the erotic." Now, doesn't that just make you want to know her and listen to her? She's the best-selling author of 8 novels. Her latest, The Queen of Shadows Bay, is book 2 of a series. And the series is called Queens of the Castle. And she also is the host, and I can't wait to hear about this, of Clubhouse's Murder, Mayhem, and Mysteries. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Good evening, everyone.
I am just so delighted to have you. So there's so much to cover in a very short period of time, and I don't even know where to start because there is so much going on. But you've been writing for 11 years and you have 8 novels out. I mean, you are a pretty prolific writer. Can you tell us what inspired that first book and kind of how do you keep going? How do you keep yourself so productive?
Well, I have to thank my mom for all of it. And mom knows best. I started writing young. Just writing little stories here and there. And I think they call it fan fiction now, but I'd watch a television show and I thought, well, I can write a better ending than that. Or I'd read a book and say, oh, no. That's not how this book should end. It needs to end like this. Well, my mother would read what I wrote. She said, that's nice, but I want to read your stories, your way, with your words. Mm-hmm. So I would clutch my masterpiece to my chest and storm back into my room. And I would eventually come back with the same sort of stuff. But eventually, I started writing my stories, my way, with my words, which she had already told me to do. And my mom ended up being my first fan. But then she also became my first editor in a way, because she was always telling me, well, Stephanie, the punctuation's off here. You might want to check on that. Or Stephanie, you want to go back and check your vocabulary words because I don't think it's spelled like that. So my mom was always very encouraging in the background. And she truly inspired me to write because she was some people say bookworms. I'll say my mom was a book dragon. And she insisted that me and my brother read. In fact, Sundays were made for reading. That was all we did on Sunday, that and listen to music. And my brother was into the arts, but it was really me wanting to, okay, so what happened the next day? What happened after that? Mm. So that's where I sort of, started honing my skill, but blame my mother.
Oh, that's wonderful. So what's that look like now? What does that writing habit look like now? Are you somebody that writes every day? Do you set goals for yourself? Or, I'm going to cover so many words in a week. Kind of what does that look like?
Oh, I write every spare moment I get, whether it's early in the morning or late at night. I mean, I'm fueled on caffeine and inappropriate thoughts. So you may find me writing at any time. During the day, we go on lunch breaks and everything, there I am scribbling. When I get off from work immediately, I'm scribbling something down, just notes that I might have been turning over in my head during the day. Sometimes when I lecture, an idea will drop into my head and I'll continue on with the lecture. But the minute my students would leave the room, I had to start scribbling it down. So I would usually have tons of paper sitting around me, or little scraps or napkins and things like that, just sitting around where I'd scribble down something really quickly. So writing sort of eclipses a lot of things. I mean, I knit and crochet, but writing takes over everything. And yeah, so I'd say just a little bit obsessed, just a little bit.
And you said you're a teacher. What do you teach?
Well, I teach adults. I teach them whatever skill they need. I'm sort of the computer guru person. So I teach adults for whatever, entity hires me. And I train them, whether it's computer programming, or maybe they're learning a new skill for their job, or to add to their skill set. I'm the person that they bring in to build the curriculum, train their people, but then also train other trainers. So yeah, so that's what I do.
Yes, we have a lot in common, you and I. So tell us about this book that, now when did the Queen of the Shadow Babe book 2 come out?
It came out on January 4th of this year. Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes,
congratulations. But tell us about it.
Well, I have this character. For those of you that have read The Knights of the Castle or Kings of the Castle, then you've probably run into a character that was known as Bobby Ray Bennett. And she was incarcerated for a while. She got out. I'll give you that. And we meet up with her after this huge award ceremony. And she discovers that she has to travel from her home in Arabia back to the States. Only problem with that is she's made a few enemies along the way. And she's on the trail of a cold-blooded killer. And she's trying to find a way to get to the States, make sure that justice is served, all while trying to keep herself out of prison. So it's quite the adventure.
Yes, that sounds very, very intriguing. And what should we know about murder? I want to get it right. Murder, Mayhem, and Mysteries on Clubhouse. Tell us about that.
Oh my goodness. Murder, Mayhem, and Mysteries. We call it 3M. Every Saturday from 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, 11 a.m. Eastern. That's an area where we have industry experts come in, and sometimes they're talking about their books, sometimes they're talking about technique, but really it's an informal gathering where we get to have that conversation. We can reach out to readers and really discuss our favorites, like Agatha Christie or Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, or anyone that's contemporary. It's their chance to say, hey, you may want to check out this book. But also we talk about technique, because we have a lot of readers, but we have aspiring writers that come in and visit us as well. So we may give them resources like books on technique. If you're looking for a place that has writing prompts that can help you to hone your skill, then that's what we focus on. And, it could take us into all sorts of crazy conversations like ice bullets, meat bullets, and, all sorts of murder and mayhem and mysteries. And we talk about the paranormal stories that are out there, and different authors that come in, they'll talk about their books that are coming out. And it sort of exposes a lot of the readers to different genres that they might not have been aware of, or different authors in the genres. So yes, it's always a fun time. Yeah.
That sounds so cool. So both readers and writers have a wonderful place to come together, who are interested in mystery and murder. Yes, I have to check that out. Tangled Lies starts with a murder. We have to.
Then you have to join us. We would love it. Oh
yeah, I have to come on over and see you guys. So are you working on anything in particular now?
Actually, I am. Yeah. I'm sort of, I call it blocking, but I'm building my character Bible for several books that are coming out later on this year and into early next year. So my characters come to me in strange ways. Now, I'm a firm fan, huge fan of Toni Morrison. And she said that her characters sometimes come and they sit by her and they tell her their story. Well, my characters do that too. And I had one character in particular that I'm driving home from Virginia because I was commuting back when the world was open. And this character just sat down in my car. And I was like, oh my God, who are you? And she tells me this story that it was the beginning of Season of the Blood, which is one of my books that came out at the end of last year. And now I'm building new characters, and I use a character Bible to do that, where I start talking about, I kind of flesh out, does this character have brown eyes? Are they a violinist? Are they chasing people around with a hacksaw? So all sorts of interesting things. Hopefully it's not that. But
especially if they're sitting next to you in the car.
yes, this one particular character, she sat down and she started telling me her story. She said, I am not one or the other. Names are petty and minor fit no how. And I'm sitting there in my truck, we're in, Virginia traffic. And I'm like, okay, why are you here? And, so people think, oh, you might be kind of nuts if you have people talking to you, but for us writers, that's a good thing.
That's a good thing. I've said to people many, many times that my first novel came about because these two women were talking to me in their heads and they said, my story needs to be told. So I totally relate. Relate. So one of the things we like to do is we like to recommend books. Other than your wonderful books, you should buy and read her books. But in addition to that, are there any books maybe one or two books that you'd like to recommend to our audience?
Oh my goodness. Oh gosh, there's so many. And see, I'm a book dragon too. I mean, I have books sitting all over the place. But definitely pick up Knights of the Castle. It's a 9-book series. Kings of the Castle, which is like an origin story for a lot of the other books in the Knights series. And definitely pick up the Days of Pleasure series. And it starts with 10 Days of Pleasure, and then it moves up. And it follows the story of these two characters and what happens over a 90-day period, and then leads you to the 10th novel, Open Door Marriage by Nalena Kai. So it's definitely an odyssey that you definitely want to take. There's so much going on in all 3 of those series. So yeah, definitely. If you want something that's edge of your seat, definitely Kings of the Castle, Knights of the Castle, and the Days of Pleasure series.
Thank you. That sounds so cool. One of the downsides of doing this video podcast is that my want to read pile is so high.
Mine too.
Yes. So thank you. This has been so fun. If our audience wants to find you, they want to find out more about you, they want to find you on social media, how can they be in touch? How can they find out more about you?
Oh, Stephanie M. Freeman's the name. Murder, Mayhem, and Mysteries is my game. Just key in I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm on TikTok. You can go to my website, stephaniemfreemanauthor.com, and definitely join us at my podcast on Clubhouse, Murder, Mayhem, and Mysteries. We're always talking about something. And one of the jokes I usually say is, you'll curl up and die here. So definitely. So definitely join us. We'd love to have you.
That sounds awesome. So I hope you will take Stephanie up on her offer. And I hope that you will also check out my YouTube channel, my Facebook, Karen E. Osborne author page. I am also on Instagram, but I haven't tried TikTok yet. So I have to talk to Stephanie offline about how she's using TikTok. Thanks so much for joining us today, and see you next time on What Are You Reading? What Are You Writing?